guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm basically going to update you on my pregnancy and the baby and how things are going. So as you know, or hopefully you know, I have got a high BMI. I have other risks as well with my pregnancy because I have hypermobile type Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and because I have low PAPP-A, which is basically a hormone deficiency. So I'm just going to update you on how everything's going. We're officially over halfway now. I am 21 weeks and I've had my 20-week scan, which I had at I had 19 weeks even, just over 19 weeks. It was a little bit early, but we had to kind of work it around my partner's work times because I can't get to the hospital without him or without someone. So I had my scan, everything is measuring perfectly fine, which is amazing. I expected there to be some sort of irregularity in growth because of my low PAPP-A and because of the situation I had with my son. He was always measuring like really tiny on the legs and really big on the head, and like his tummy was okay, but it was just disproportionate and it kind of worried them quite a lot. So I expected that again, but no. She is measuring perfectly fine, and yes, we are having a girl this time, which is so exciting because I have a boy and I've always wanted a girl as well, so I'm so excited about that. We are consult-led care, which means basically that we don't just see the community midwife. I have to go into the hospital and I have to see an actual consultant, which is kind of like more specialised care for people who are higher risk. So because of my risks, I have to see the consultant quite regularly. I am having more regular scans as well. And she goes through the risks with me, she goes through my options, she books any extra appointments that I need, and basically they're just kind of keeping a close eye on me. I had my first consult after the scan, which was, as I said, about 19 weeks, which was a couple of weeks ago. And she basically went over what my risks are. I'm not really sure if she kind of twigged to the fact that I have low PAPP-A because it wasn't in my notes anywhere. It wasn't even mentioned. But I mean, the same sort of risks come up with everything else. The only difference is with low PAPP-A, you've got more risks of having placenta problems, like not being sufficient, which I had with my son. I didn't have low PAPP-A with my son, but his blood flow in his placenta did reduce quite dramatically and he stopped growing. So he was induced early because of that. Not too early, but he was induced because he stopped growing and because the blood flow was so reduced. So that's the only difference with the low PAPP-A. But I'm going to try and see if I can work out how to put a picture in here, which is going to show you what the risks are that she went over. I don't really want to go through the whole list, but basically here is a list of the things that she said are my higher risks. My BMI will cause higher chance of gestational diabetes and preeclampsia and blood clots and stuff. My low PAPP-A will also increase that risk, and my EDS also increase that risk. So it's kind of like I've got 3 times the higher risk on each one. So I am pretty high risk and they do worry about it. I say risk a lot in this video. I am so sorry. So yeah, so that's the risks. I've done it before, I can do it again. I've got my son, he was small, we were in NICU for a week, he did have his complications, he had quite severe jaundice and he did have low blood sugar as well. He couldn't feed and we had so many problems with him after he was born, but he is perfectly happy and healthy. He is now over 2 and he's running around, he's developing perfectly. We don't have much of a concern anymore compared to what we did when he first started in his first sort of 6 months. But I mean, we're here and he's fine. So I'm not massively worried about that. We are going to have these extra scans, which I already mentioned, and I am looking down at my notes. So I have 4 more scans booked in, which is at 27 weeks, 31 weeks, 34 weeks, and 37 weeks. And that's basically just the extra surveillance, just to make sure that everything is growing properly. I'm not sure if they're going to check all my vitals and everything then as well at the same time as the scan, or whether I'm going to see a consultant. All I know is I'm having these scans just to check that baby is still growing and my placenta hasn't got a problem. It's great because I can actually feel the baby this time. With my son, I couldn't feel him much. I did feel him and I did see him move and I managed to get videos and things, but it wasn't that much because I had an anterior placenta and it was my first pregnancy, so I didn't really know what to look out for. This time my placenta is posterior and I saw her for the first time last night at dead on 21 weeks, I saw her move. Like, I saw my belly shift, which was incredible because I didn't have that until well into my 30 weeks with my son. I only had that for like 2 or 3 weeks with him. So it's really nice to be able to see her already. And obviously I can feel her move quite a lot and everything like that, which is great. I do want to add in the medication that I am on because of my risk and because of like standard medication. So I'm on 5 milligrams of folic acid. This is just kind of, it's a standard. Most people go on folic acid when they get pregnant. With a higher BMI, you need higher folic acid because basically it distributes around your body, not just to the baby. So you need the extra to make sure the baby's getting enough. You can't really overdose on folic acid. So I was told to also take the pregnancy vitamins that you normally take. Most people take Pregnacare. I found that I get very violently ill on Pregnacare. I did with my first and I did this time. So I'm on 7Cs. It's not sponsored or anything, but I'm on 7Cs. They have, I think it's like ginger or something in it, which helps you to stop feeling as ill from the vitamins. I always take my medication on an evening because I find that helps with my sickness as well. If I take it in the morning, I really, really suffer like all day. So if I take it on an evening, I wake up feeling awful, or I don't now, but I did wake up feeling absolutely awful. And then after sort of a couple of hours, when I've like my body settled down, I'm okay. Whereas if I took it in the morning, I would suffer all day and then I wouldn't sleep at night because I've been feeling rubbish all day, which kind of sucks. I am also on aspirin, which most of you who have a high BMI will be on aspirin. Because of the extra risk and because my BMI is so high, I have to be on 150 milligrams, I think, of aspirin. You can either be on the 75 or the 150, and I'm on the 150. And I have been told as well, because of the higher risk, of course, that from about 28 weeks, I'm going to need blood thinning injections, which with my son, I didn't need. I'm not 100% sure on why I need it this time and I didn't with him, because my BMI is the same and I've still got the same condition, but hey ho. So I've been told or advised that I need to take these blood thinning injections from 28 weeks. With him, I had them after I had the baby. I had them for 5 days, I think it is, and that's kind of a standard with high BMI as well. It's just to make sure you don't clot oddly and things like that. This time I'm going to have them more. I'm really nervous about that because I scarred, even from 5 days, I got so many scars from those injections, which everyone's kind of like, oh no, it's not that bad. It kind of hurts when it goes in, but it's fine. If you do it right, it doesn't hurt, but it's quite hard to do it right. You've got to kind of do it really precisely in how you do it. Like, you've got to go straight in and stuff, but I'll talk about that another time. So I'm a bit nervous about that, but I mean, if it's got to be done, it's got to be done. I'm going to do my best for this baby because it is going to be our last baby. I am too high risk to do it again. I will be 28 and I reckon by the time we try it again and everything, I will be into my 30s, and there's nothing wrong with having a baby in your 30s. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against it. But because I've already got so many risks, it would be my 3rd baby on top of that. I don't think I'm going to take the chance. So I'm going to stick to just having my boy and my girl. The main issues that I have at the moment would be dehydration. Dehydration is one of my biggest problems. Seriously, I had to go to the doctors a few days ago because I was so English is a good language. I was so dehydrated. I had to go to the doctors because it kicked in a migraine to the point that I couldn't open my eyes. Like, the sound of my eyelids moving was making me scream internally. I had to kind of like prank my partner and get him to come home from work. He'd only just left for work and I hadn't moved yet, so he didn't realise that I'd be bad. I had to kind of like try to message him saying, come home. And when he got home, he said that I basically looked like I was screaming, but I was making no noise, and it scared him. So we went to the doctors, turned out I had a migraine. My blood pressure was up, obviously, because I was in so much pain. I do suffer with migraines anyway, but this was like another level of migraine. I haven't had this migraine this bad since I was about 12, which is the worst migraine I ever had. And with that one, I couldn't move for 3 days at all. I couldn't drink, I couldn't open my eyes. like the sound of my own breathing made me want to scream. It was horrible, and it was the same this time. Like, I had to be in dead silence, which, as you can imagine, with a toddler doesn't really go well. So I was hiding out in my bedroom. I was like, had everything blacked out. That was the worst. I've only had one bad migraine. I've had a couple in this pregnancy because of this dehydration issue. Now, I'm doing quite a bit to try and battle it. Oh, another note, sorry, I forgot to say about that, is that I do have general pain, obviously, because of my Ehlers-Danlos loss of my weight. And I can't take my naproxen, which is my normal pain relief, which obviously is quite a strong pain relief, but I can't take anything similar to it or take it. So my general pain threshold, I am in a lot of pain anyway. So adding a migraine on top of that is like a 9 or 10 on the pain scale, whereas like I'm borderline unconscious right now. So you can imagine how bad it got. So to battle this, I try to stay cool. So I've always got a fan on me. We have a fan in the bedroom. At the moment, I already feel like I'm about to start sweating purely because I don't have a fan on so that you can hear me. And I'm taking cold showers probably about 2 or 3 times a day. They're only 2 minutes long. I'm not like massively wasting water, but it's just to keep me cool enough so that I'm not going to keep sweating my hydration out. I do set alarms on my phone every hour or every waking hour. Sometimes I'll take a nap in the day just because of everything. It just knackers you out, doesn't it? So I have a reminder on my phone to remind me to drink water all the time. I do struggle with that sometimes. So when I'm struggling to drink my water, I put ice in it and I drink it through a straw. I tend to find that I can easily down a pint of water doing that. Whereas normally it will take me like 3 hours to drink half a glass of water because I don't know, it's like a mental block. I just can't drink water like that. Sometimes I'll put cucumber in it as well to help. And I do avoid caffeine because caffeine does, like, it affects your hydration. I can't remember exactly how because my brain is rubbish. But it does affect your hydration. It makes it a lot worse. So I stick to decaf tea, which I only have 2 cups a day maximum. I very rarely have that. Otherwise, I stick with water. What else do I do? So I've already said about having my migraines being in a quiet, dark room. When I'm on my own with my son, because that was a concern for us quite often, when I'm alone with my son and I have a migraine, I make sure either I or my partner, depending on how bad I am, will make sure that he has food and drink readily available. So we kind of have like a box or a bucket. We'll put food in there that he can kind of grab when he's hungry. He'll bring it to me and I'll open it for him rather than having me up and down every 20 minutes. I make sure there's water in there so I can top up his water bottle. I have big bottles of water near me so I can top them up and top mine up. And I kind of just sit on the sofa really and just watch him. I keep the TV on extremely low because when the TV's on, he seems to be quieter. And whilst it bothers me, it doesn't bother me as much as him screaming in my face, which he does a lot. He is a toddler, that's what they do. So that really helps. The aspirin obviously is a natural pain relief, so that kind of helps, not massively, but it does help a little bit. I do have been told taking paracetamol on top of that is fine. So I do take paracetamol when I feel like it's starting to kick off or when I am getting really uncomfortable. I will start taking paracetamol. I avoid it when I can, but I do take it when I need to. I also, what am I thinking? I have my supports. Every time I look down, the light goes really funny. I do have my supports. So I have wrist supports, which is basically tuber grip. I have hip supports, which is tuber grip as well. And I have just some basic like ankle supports that I just grabbed from a pharmacy. This is for when my pain is kicking in and when I'm having like one of my flare-up days where all of my joints just decide, you know what, sod you, and they kind of just start falling out and causing me hell. When my joints get bad, just as an example, I have managed to dislocate or sublux, not fully dislocate, but I subluxed my shoulder, my elbow and my wrist, picking up a hairbrush a couple of weeks ago. That's how bad my joints get. I mean, like picking up a cup of water can throw 2 of my fingers out. Picking up a piece of paper makes my fingers do weird angles. It's not heavy, but it makes my fingers go weird angles and it will dislocate them. it's one of the reasons why I struggle to do videos sometimes, which is why I'll have like, occasionally I'll do 4 or 5 videos in one day because I'm having a good day like today, but then I'll go weeks without doing any videos, which I'm trying to get out of that. But some days I'm just so bad. I cannot sit in front of a camera. I can't sit up straight. I've got to lie down. I can't get my clothes on properly, so I just look a mess. I can't do my hair or anything like that. So bear with me with that. Most of the time I basically just take it easy. That's all it is. I mean, with a toddler it's quite difficult, but he's fairly independent, which I'm lucky with, because like, he's potty training at the moment, but he's quite good. He doesn't wear trousers at home, so if he needs a potty, he just takes himself quite happily. I always have the potty in the room with us, and he'll quite happily go to the potty, and he'll come over to me and kind of point at it, and he'll be like, yay, all excited, and be clapping and everything, and I'm like, okay, he's gone to the potty, and I'll obviously clean that up when I need to. He does try to clean it up himself because he is that independent, but he does spill it everywhere, so I'm kind of like, maybe not, just tell mummy. And he tends to go into the kitchen and grab his own food. I do try to keep the gate closed and keep like food within reach, because obviously you never know what dangers he's going to randomly find in the kitchen, because no matter how many safety things you put in, they are always going to find something dangerous. I mean, what did he do? He managed to get into the fridge, actually. I was chopping up grapes for him. I'd pulled out the grapes from the fridge and I was chopping them up, and he managed to climb up into the fridge, which somehow I didn't notice. I don't know why. I think I was just more focused on the fact that I had a sharp knife and he was in the room. But he climbed into the fridge and literally grabbed a handful of grapes out the punnet, ran off and had 2 in his mouth, and I had to like chase him to get them out of his mouth, and it scared the life out of me. Like, they will always find something. It doesn't matter what you do. So unless you kind of lock yourself away all the time whenever you're doing anything even remotely slightly dangerous to a toddler, I'm not being funny, he's going to be around it as he grows up. So yeah, I mean, it's just about taking it easy, taking it slow. You kind of sit down when you can and just take life as it comes. If he's having a bad day, I'll call in help. If I need a day in bed, then I'll put on the projector, and he's quite happy sat there watching a few programs like Dougie or whatever like that. And he's pretty easygoing these days, which is great. And he's getting really connected to the baby as well. He like asks me quite regularly. He'll just look at me and go, baby, and pass me my phone. And because I've got the Pregnancy Plus app, not sponsored, and the Bouncy app, again, not sponsored, I'm not sponsored by anyone, but because I've got the Pregnancy Plus app, because I'm over 20 weeks, when you like click on the baby on it, it gives you the option to kind of zoom in, zoom out. You can see the baby moving slightly, you can turn it, and you can properly take a look at the baby, and it'll tell you like how much the baby weighs and how big they are and what sort of thing they would look like now. And the baby looks like an actual baby, and he likes to kind of poke it and see it like move a little bit, and it's really sweet because he'll be like, baby, 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 and then give my tummy a kiss, and it's adorable. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I'm already at like 18.5 minutes plus the intro and the ending, so I'm not going to bore you for any longer. That's the basic update of my pregnancy. I'm hoping to do kind of weekly updates on my health, my pregnancy and daily life in general on Thursdays. But if I don't manage to, I will be back again soon with an update from my next appointment, which I believe is the 11th of October, somewhere around there. It's in a couple of weeks, it's not too far away. But hopefully I will see you then. Yeah, that's about it. So like, comment and subscribe down below, and I will see you soon. Bye guys.